In an ever-evolving landscape of pop music, artists often attempt comebacks in the hopes of reclaiming their former glory. In this video, we look at the part 2 to failed comebacks in pop music. Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer started off her career as a dancer, transitioned to acting, and ventured into music, releasing her debut album on the 6th in 1999. She reached her peak in the early 2000s with her albums J-Lo and This Is Me Then. After her massive success in the early 2000s, her next album started to perform worse and failed to produce any lasting hits. By the beginning of the 2010s, she kind of made a comeback with her album Love, which included the huge single On the Floor. Her next album, 2014's AKA, failed to make a significant impact. It debuted on number 8 on the Billboard 200, but lacked the commercial success of her early works. The lead single, Alaya Papi, received a lukewarm response. The album quickly dropped off the charts. In 2024, she tried to make a comeback, dropping This Is Me Now, a sequel to her 2004 album. It was heavily inspired by her rekindled romance with Ben Affleck, whom she was dating in the early 2000s. The album was a complete disaster, debuting at number 38 on the Billboard 200, selling 14,000 units in its first week. She released the album along with a film, and her attempts to be relatable failed spectacularly, leading to a lot of hate online. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's career began at a young age as the lead singer of the Jackson 5, the group's string of hits in the late 1960s and early 1970s, including I Want You Back, ABC, and I'll Be There, established MJ as a huge talent. In 1979, his solo career soared with the release of Off the Wall. The album's blend of pop, funk, and disco spawned hits like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You, and it sold over 20 million copies worldwide. His next album, Thriller, became the best-selling album of all time, with hits like Billie Jean, Beat It, and the title track. The album cemented his status as a global superstar. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, Michael continued to dominate the music scene, with albums like Bad and Dangerous. His influence extended beyond music to fashion, dance, and music video production, making him a cultural icon. By the late 1990s, MJ had faced numerous personal and professional challenges, including legal battles and intense media scrutiny. Despite these issues, anticipation for a new album remained high. Invincible, released on October 30, 2001, became his first album in 6 years. Despite debuting on number 1 on the Billboard 200, it was considered a commercial disappointment by his standards. He was planning to make his comeback in the late 2000s. In March 2009, he announced the This Is It concert series, which was to mark his return to the stage after more than a decade. It was marketed as Michael's final curtain call, a chance for fans to witness the legendary performer one last time. On June 25, 2009, just weeks before the first scheduled show, he was found unresponsive at his Los Angeles home and was pronounced dead at age 50. Ciara. Ciara has been a prominent figure in the music industry since her debut in the mid-2000s. Known for her impressive dance skills, she is still famous, but her music output has declined. She burst onto the music scene with her debut Goodies, which was a smash hit, topping the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks. Her sophomore album, Ciara The Evolution, showcased her growth as an artist. It debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 338,000 copies in its first week. This was the peak of her career. She followed that up with her 2009 album Fantasy Ride, her 2010 album Basic Instinct, and her 2013 self-titled album, which all did decent. She then parted ways with her record label to drop her next album, Jackie, which debuted at number 17 on the Billboard 200, with 25,000 units sold in its first week, which was a flop. After that, she tried to make her comeback in 2019 when she released Beauty Marks independently. It debuted on number 87 on the Billboard 200 and failed to make any significant impact. Granted, it was an independent album, but her time as a chart topper seems to be over. Christina Aguilera. Christina burst onto the music scene in the late 1990s with her self-titled debut album, released in 1999. The album's lead single, Genie in a Bottle, became an instant hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and establishing her as a pop sensation. Other singles from the album, including What a Girl Wants and Come On Over Baby, further solidified her status as a leading pop star. In 2000, she released Mi Reflejo, a Spanish-language album that expanded her international appeal. Her second studio album, Stripped, marked a significant departure from her teen pop image, embracing a more mature and eclectic sound. The album featured hits like Beautiful and Dirty. Her 2006 album, Back to Basics, paid homage to jazz, blues, and soul music. It was a critical and commercial success, with singles like Ain't No Other Man and Candyman. In 2010, she released Bionic, an experimental album that blended pop, electro, and R&B influences. She was trying to hop on the electropop trend of the time. The album received mixed reviews and underperformed commercially. After several years in relative music silence, she released her comeback album Liberation in June 2018. The album was intended to reflect her personal and artistic growth. It debuted on number 6 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 68,000 album equivalent units, becoming her lowest selling record in the US. Her comeback was not successful. She then released her Spanish album Aguilera in 2022, but her time as a chart-topping pop star was long gone. She is now a legacy artist. Ashanti. Ashanti's entry into the music industry was marked by her signing to Murder Inc. Records in 2001. Her breakthrough came with the release of her self-titled debut album in 2002, featuring hit singles like Foolish, Happy, and Baby. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 500,000 copies in its first week. Foolish remained at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 for 10 consecutive weeks, establishing Ashanti as a new R&B sensation. In addition to her solo success, tracks like Always on Time with Ja Rule and What's Love with Fat Joe solidified her status as a versatile R&B artist. Her early accolades include a Grammy Award for Best Contemporary R&B Album and multiple American Music Awards and Billboard Music Awards. Despite her early success, her career faced challenges in the mid-2000s. Legal issues surrounding Murder Inc. and its CEO Irv Gotti created turbulence for the label and its artists. Her third album, Concrete Rose, in 2004, and subsequent projects did not achieve the same level of commercial success as her debut. Changing musical trends further contributed to her declining visibility in the mainstream music scene. By 2014, Ashanti had been absent from the limelight for several years. Braveheart, her fifth studio album, was positioned as her comeback, intended to re-establish her presence in popular music. Released under her own label, it was a shift towards greater artistic independence and control, but the album struggled to make a significant impact, debuting on number 10 on the Billboard 200, selling around 28,000 copies in its first week, a stark contrast to the multi-platinum success of her earlier work. Critics also gave it mixed reviews. She hasn't released a new album since then, as she now performs her old hits at throwback concerts. Avril Lavigne. Avril burst onto the music scene in the early 2000s with her distinctive pop-punk sound and rebellious image. Her early success was meteoric, but over time, her career experienced a noticeable decline. Her debut album, Let Go, was a commercial and critical success. Released in 2002, it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and included hits like Complicated, Skater Boy, and I'm With You. The album was certified 6 times platinum by the RIAA and sold over 16 million copies worldwide. It established her as a pop-punk princess and a significant new voice in pop. Her sophomore effort, Under My Skin, debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 381,000 copies in its first week. It was very successful. She then released The Best Damn Thing in 2007, which debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, and produced the smash hit Girlfriend, which topped the charts worldwide. In 2011, she released Goodbye Lullaby, which debuted on number 4 on the Billboard 200, with first week sales of 87,000 copies. She followed that up with her self-titled album, which was a flop, selling just 44,000 copies in its first week. After the disappointment, she then tried to make a comeback in 2019 with her album Head Above Water. After a prolonged battle with Lyme's disease, she returned with an album about her personal struggles and resilience. It did not perform well, debuting on number 13 on the Billboard 200, with 29,000 units sold in its first week. It was a flop. After her comeback failed, she released her 2022 album Love Sucks, which also flopped. Meghan Trainor. Meghan burst onto the music scene in 2014 with her debut single All About That Bass. The song's catchy melody, throwback doo-wop sound, and empowering lyrics about body positivity resonated with audiences worldwide. It topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 8 consecutive weeks and earned multi-platinum certifications. Her debut album Tidal continued her success, featuring hits like Lips Are Moving and Dear Future Husband. Her music stood out for its retro influences, blending pop, doo-wop, and R&B with modern pop sounds. Her sophomore album Thank You saw her evolving her sound, incorporating more modern pop and R&B elements. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and was moderately successful. However, she faced challenges with her third album, Treat Myself. The album experienced multiple delays before it was released, and when it was released, and it had a lukewarm reception. It peaked at number 25 on the Billboard 200, showing the decline of Meghan's commercial momentum. After the disappointment, she was looking to have a big comeback with her next album. Then she released Taking It Back on October 21, 2022. From the album, Made You Look went viral on TikTok and peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100. Even though the song became a hit, the album did not perform well, peaking at number 16 on the Billboard 200 and becoming one of the most hated albums of the year by critics. Alicia Keys. Alicia burst onto the music scene with her debut album Songs in A Minor in 2001. The album was a massive success, featuring hits like Fallen and A Woman's Worth. It showcased her unique blend of classic piano, soul, and R&B. The album sold over 12 million copies worldwide and earned Alicia 5 Grammy Awards, including Best New Artist and Song of the Year for Fallen. Her follow-up albums, The Diary of Alicia Keys in 2003 and As I Am in 2007, continued her success. As I Am featured the chart-topping single No One, which further cemented her reputation for producing heartfelt and emotional hits. Her 2009 album The Element of Freedom saw her experimenting with a more polished and pop-oriented sound. In 2012, she released Girl on Fire, featuring the anthemic title track. The album showcased her growth as an artist and her ability to blend different genres seamlessly. Her next album, Here, was a commercial disappointment, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with 50,000 copies sold in its first week. After a 4-year hiatus, during which she focused on her family, she made her comeback with her 7th studio album Alicia in 2020. The album was released amidst the pandemic, so it did not perform well. She embarked on a promotional campaign for the album as she performed at major events, including the 2020 Grammy Awards. But the album only managed to debut on number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling 62,000 copies in its first week. What failed comebacks did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.